gentlemen, good morning. Welcome back. Happy Money Monday. Markets dumping. Boop, 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 boop. Dropping on off. So yeah, today's going to be a really nice day across the board. Not just for day trading, guys. Not just for day trading, but we got some nice discounts. You got like NVIDIA down like 10% right now, for example. Down about 11%, Microsoft 5%, Meta 3%. So, I mean, you got a lot of great stocks down, 5, 6%, NVIDIA 11%. Take a look at the VIX. The VIX is back up near 21 at this point in time. So, if you guys sell cash secured puts, right, if you guys like selling options for income and being an option seller, today's a great day. Overextended move to the downside. Plus VIX above 20 equals juicy premiums. And if we get a little bit of a relief bounce through the rest of this week, we can get 80, 90% out of those cash secured puts. And at least those premiums will be juicy. And it'll be worth our time to be selling some options this week versus just going long on calls and puts. So that's where I'm at. I'm excited for it. Tom, what's up, man? Good morning. Over on YouTube. What's up, brother? Todd, what's up, man? Dustin, you've been working on finding the zones? That's what's up. How's that going for you, dude? Is that going good? And don't judge me on my pink cup, okay? I told you guys last week, don't judge me. For anybody that's new, still, don't judge me in my pink cup. It says, I'm a hustler, baby. I just want you to know. Oh, yeah. When you run out of coffee cups, you got to get your wife's coffee cups. And she don't even drink coffee. That's actually mine. I'm just trying to put it on her. Make it look better. All right. So besides the SPY and the Qs, SPY, QQQ, what other stocks are you guys looking at today? Let's start by reviewing those. Let's analyze them and see what we got. Towards the end of the session, I'll take a look at the SPY and the Qs and give you guys my game plan for the day. Why is the SPY dropping hard? I mean, you got the SPY and the Qs dropping on off. You got a lot of AI stocks dropping hard. So, I mean, if you look at most of the stocks that are leading some of this downward move, biggest one's NVIDIA, down about 11% right now. You got Micron down about 7%, AMD down about 4%, ANET 12% to the downside. So it's really a lot of these AI-related stocks dropping on off. And the article I read was, possible AI bubble, something with China, whatever the case is. But take a look at a lot of these AI-related companies, even, Oracle, for example, ORCL. They're really just dropping hard and heavy this morning, and that's pulling a lot of other things down along with it. Which means what? Good buying opportunity for us. Good buying opportunity, right? When something's down 10% like that, that's a good buying opportunity. If you don't think so, sell some cash secured puts. Collect the premium. Those premiums are going to be nice and juicy. And then, hey, we should see some good volatile movement in the market today to where, hey, we can capitalize on that and make some money day trading. All right, so let's go ahead and look at some of yo stocks for the day, ladies and gentlemen. What are we looking at here? I'm going to scroll back up and see what we are looking at. Someone said Micron. We can look at MU. See if we're coming down into any like key levels where we could see a nice pop and a nice bounce today. We'll look at NVIDIA too, for sure. I think the first one was Micron, so let's go ahead and look at Micron. So right now, Micron's at like 95 bucks in pre-market. We had this gap on MU. We didn't fill all of the gap. We filled like half the gap. So I would still mark this gap on up because we have yet to fill all of the gap. Found a nice little, period of consolidation for a couple weeks. Nice rip to the upside. Nice healthy retracement. Nice push to the upside. And that was your second leg. We could see a possible third leg to the upside. You know, that first leg, we had a nice little 61.8 retracement, and then saw our second leg to the upside on Micron, right into the 200-day moving average. I mean, what we can do is we can measure this second leg from low to high and get an idea of where we're pulling back to right now. So we'll go ahead and measure that second leg on up from that swing low to that swing high. And we do have this gap that's sitting right there as well. That's a pretty large gap. But it doesn't really give us a whole lot when using that second leg's fib. So we're just going to go ahead and remove that fib altogether. And really, let's focus on initially this gap here on Micron. Got a little gap here. And this is all on the daily too. By the way, this is the daily. So we have this big gap up, push, come back down, fill 50% of the gap, push again, gap up, fill it, push again, gap up. We don't fill this gap though. So that left a gap here between like 97.40 to 99.37, but it looks like we're filling that gap already here on pre-market. So you see how we've already moved through this gap in pre-market? If we opened right now, we would be gapping the gap. So I'm going to take that gap away and see if we can find any like key levels of like basic support resistance, some like key zones, key levels that are better to trade off of potentially versus the gap that we're gapping, right? Because we're gapping the gap. I mean, first key zone, first pretty good zone here on Micron. We got to tighten that up a little bit here. That's a little big of a zone. Go ahead and tighten that up a little bit. Yeah, so we got a zone down here between like 95.41 to 96.14. You know, it's that high a day right here before that massive gap up. We come back down, little tap, tap, we push. Come down, we tap it, we push. Then we gapped below that level. But when we gapped up above it, we held it and then pushed off of it. Just to come down again, hold it, push off of it. So, I mean, that's going to be a pretty significant level on Micron. And if we run that zone back and take it even further, we can see that we just build a lot more conviction that this is a pretty solid zone on Micron. So there's a pretty good level here between 95.41 to 96.14. Also, we have this little gap to the downside. We've already discussed the gap. We're going to go ahead and throw that up there on the daily. Now let's go find a couple other zones to the upside. See if we have anything else to the upside. Here's going to be a pretty good zone to the upside on Micron. It is going to be between 99.08 to 99.71. And I'm sure we could tighten that up a little bit if we wanted to. Really dial that in. So yeah, 99.09 to 99.68. That's a pretty solid zone from the daily, right? Gapped up above it, came down into it, hit it 3 days back to back. Little tap, tap, tap. Nice push to the upside. Came down, tapped it 2 times. Big push to the upside. And then you see we kind of chopped around it here for a little bit, but we still have some touch points in that zone showing us that it was respected as an area of support resistance. Gap up, hold it, push off of it into that 200-day moving average. So at least we see some nice significant pushes away from that zone. So we got multiple points, nice significant pushes away. That's going to be an area for today as well. And it's right where that 50 SMA is sitting. So your 50 SMA is sitting right there at that zone. And you got $100 overhead. So right now, these are like the main 3 zones that I would primarily focus on today if it were me with Micron. I just want to make sure I don't want to tighten these zones up any and make sure that these are the best of the best zones that I want to primarily focus on. If I can tighten them up a little bit, I'll tighten them up a little bit. If I should readjust them based on touch points, I'll simply go in and readjust them based on touch points. Honestly, I do want to adjust it a little bit. I want to adjust that middle zone that I gave you, because if we adjust it up, we get several more touch points back here that further validate it. We still have that high day rejection. That was the close before the gap down. We still come down, bounce off of it, come down, bounce off of it. And we actually get a couple better touch points right here last week off that zone. So I'm going to readjust that middle zone just a smidge to really capture like more of those touch points. And I'm going to finish that zone up. It's going to be right around like 96.08 to 96.58. So it's 96.08 to 96.58. That's going to be the more dialed in zone because we capture quite a few more points. And again, some significant moves away from that zone. So if we're looking to like day trade Micron, I mean, here's kind of where my head would be is probably like two ways to trade this, right? So if we come down and get inside of that daily gap, right? So if we, break down below 92.98, which is the top end of that daily gap, and we stay inside that daily gap, I would short it down to the bottom end of that daily gap and play some puts down to about 90. So I bet there's about a $3 potential move to the downside on Micron. We call those gap fill shorts. So if we get in the gap, stay in the gap, we can short it down for a gap fill. That's like opportunity number one. And if we come down and fill this gap at $90.18, we could see a gap fill bounce, where when we come down, fill gaps, and we stay at the bottom part of that gap and hold this support, typically we get a bounce back to the top end. So about another $3 potential move up that you can play calls on if you wanted to. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I would be. Let's see if we can possibly set up to fill this big gap today. And there's like two ways that you guys can trade inside of a daily gap on Micron. I mean, there's something there. LeVar, what's up, brother? What's up, man? Market's looking like a good win. Tesla? Yeah, market's moving pretty nice. Micron the 60, what, today? Yeah, I mean, you're asking for a lot. Now, near term, it's possible. I mean, $60, that's pretty far away if you ask me. I mean, you're going to have some daily demand down here at like 81.5. So you got to clear through some of that demand. There's going to be more demand down here around 74. I mean, down at 60. I mean, there's a couple other key areas where I would look to get involved with Micron well before 60. I mean, we see some of these little daily areas of demand down below that wasn't driven off earnings or anything like that. So I say there's a lot of work to do before you get down to 60. What platform is this? This is TradingView for charting. The market's not crashing, guys. So anybody that's using the term the market's crashing, not really crashing, right? I mean, it's down a good amount. Not really crashing, though. This is just a very violent drop to the downside, right? A crash is what you saw like back during COVID, all right? This is not a crash. It's just a very, very aggressive drop to the downside. But I mean, look at it from a percentage standpoint. Just look at this from a percentage standpoint. Because there's going to be a lot of people throwing FUD around and stuff like that about the market crashing, the sky's falling. You know, it looks like a lot, but when you really put it into perspective, you're down like 10 points. We see the market move 10 points all the time, right? It's nothing new. So if you look at from where we closed on the SPY on Friday, we closed at what? Call it 608. And where are we at right now? We're down like 1.9%, guys. It's a 2% move. We see 2-3% moves all the time. Market's not crashing, right? We're not in a bear market. We're not even in correction territory yet. So anybody using those crazy words, just disregard what they say. Unfortunately, they don't know what they're talking about. Very quick move, gap down, big drop. We're bouncing off some demand here on QQQ. We could easily recover. Even the Qs are only down about, it's still pretty big. Qs are down about 3%. Right? Definitely. Pretty big drop. I wouldn't say the market's crashing. Thanks, LeVar. I appreciate it, man. He's like, this show is better than a morning coffee. I think if you pair this with a morning coffee, it's 1,000 times better, bro. 1,000 times better, man. Don't I find TradingView lagging sometimes? Yeah, but every platform, every broker is going to have downtime at times. Can we see further downside on FOMC on Wednesday? It really depends on, what we have, right? The rate decision, what the Fed says, the press conference, the remarks they give. Really depends on what we have and how the market reacts to that data and how the market reacts to what Jay Powell has to say Wednesday at, 2:30. You guys got to start reacting to what the market's doing in real time as day traders, right? A lot of people try and predict what's going to happen by the end of the week, right? When you got a lot of key data, just let the data release. When you have key events, let the event take place, right? And then look and see how the market's reacting in real time and then start to make some decisions on, okay, what should I do based on how the market's moving and how the market's reacting right now and how the market's moving right now. Stop predicting what you think the market's going to do, right? Based on, the market's dumping. It's going to dump even more this week. We got FOMC. FOMC is going to drive the market down. Don't get into that state of mind and try and predict what's going to happen. Just be here, watch what the market's doing in real time, and simply react to what the market's doing. Please, can you turn the music up? Turn the music up. What we doing today for options trading? Always the SPY and the Qs. Always looking at the SPY and the Qs. I'm here to analyze some of your guys' stocks today. I mean, Micron. We got MU on watch today. Is there anything else you guys are looking at? Yo, PC, what's up, brother? Good morning. QQQ, we're 9 points off the pre-market low. Yeah, we snapped back and bounced back pretty aggressively. From that 502 back up to 512. Yeah, 9-10 points of a snap back already to the upside. It's crazy. We can see the market fully recover today. I've seen it time and time again where we see a massive 5-10 point open lower in the market and we make that back plus some. We see it time and time and time again, right? So just because we're dropping on off hard and heavy doesn't mean we're going to continue to drop on off hard and heavy to the downside, guys. And so where my focus is today is if we see really good trades for like day trades, options, futures, we're going to capitalize on it. We're going to take advantage of it. But I'm going to be looking to sell some cash cured puts on a lot of these stocks that are down 5%, 8%, 10% with a VIX up around 21 right now. We know that those options are going to be a little bit more expensive, right? They're just going to be more expensive on a day like today. So I want to sell puts, right? Collect that higher premium. If we see that snap back to the upside, it's going to destroy the puts. And I'm going to be able to collect 80, 90% of that premium in a very short amount of time if we get that typical snap back and that bounce back to the upside. Right? I got theta working for me. I got that high IV working for me. Maybe get a bit of an IV crush. That's going to work in my favor at the same exact time. And the VIX is high, so those, again, contracts are going to be more expensive than what they normally are, which today's a great day to be an options seller versus just focusing on day trading calls and puts. Tesla? Yeah, man. Let's go look at Tesla and see what we're working with here. So we had a nice little zone on Tesla down around 377 to 378, but I think we already come down and tapped off that level a little bit. See how we came down and we bounced off that lower zone? So it's like, if we're going to see a short opportunity today, maybe we get a short back to the downside. What's the next area that I think we could see a good short off of? Well, I got this zone here between 40120 to 40260. So that's 40120 to 40260. And I do like it because we got quite a few touch points and we've seen some decent moves off that level. And what stands out to me is we gapped up above that zone this day and saw a nice big push to the upside, just to come back down and hit it as a low day here. We gap below it, break back above it, retest it with a nice bounce, back below it, retest with a nice drop. So we see some nice moves off that zone, some decent moves to the upside, some nice drops to the downside. We got multiple touch points. It's right around $400. So that's going to give you another reason, is you have $400 psychological resistance right near that zone. And so that's like a pretty decent level that we could see Tesla come up to today, you know, fail to break above it, and then see a nice little drop on off to the downside. And we know we have that lower support down around that 377 to 379.5 level. But if we can break above that little zone, we could see another little pop to the upside and maybe close this gap from the gap down, because we are gapping down. I mean, Tesla closed at 406.50 on Friday. Right now, we're at 394.60 in pre-market. So, I mean, it's very, very possible that we see a push back up into Friday's low a day and Friday's close, fill that gap, and then see possibly a gap fill rejection, where we see some sellers step in and we see price move lower today. So that's another area to mark up. Just go ahead and mark up, you know, Friday's low and Friday's close with a zone. That's another, you know, barrier of resistance that we may get short off of today. And so that gives us a couple key areas to take a look at and really stay focused on. So first area that I'm looking at is that 40120 to like 40260 level. We come up into it and we fail to break it, I would get short off that level on Tesla. But if we break above it and we hold it, I would get long back up into Friday's low a day and Friday's close, and then get out of that long position. And then see, hey, are we failing to break that level? Have we filled the gap? Are we unable to break above Friday's low and close? And if so, I would then think about getting, you know, short and playing some puts to the downside on Tesla off that like 406 zone. But let's go see if we can tighten that first zone up a little bit, because it's a little wide. Let's see if we can go tighten that zone up just a little bit here without stripping away that zone's significance. And we can tighten it up just a wee little bit. Not a whole lot, but just a little bit. And we can get that zone right around 40170 to 40250. And that's a pretty decent zone that I would consider getting short off of if we fail to break above it. So again, we come up into that zone. We see good price action. We top out. We can't break it. I would get short off that 402 zone. But if we break that zone and hold it, I would get long to 406, close the gap into Friday's low and close, and then think about getting short off 406 back down, probably below 400. What was the other one you were talking about? That was Tesla. It was Tesla, Meta, SoFi. Where's Meta at? Meta's up there. All right, so Meta on the daily. Let's go mark up prior highs. You see how we had those prior all-time highs? Little tap, tap. We got rejected. Came back up to it last Thursday. Kind of stopped off that level. Gapped up, held it Friday, pushed. And then we're back below it right now. So if we see a lower high form off that daily zone, then we could see some downside on Meta. If we break back above that level, regain it, hold it, we're going to push back to all-time highs. So that's how I see meta, is I would just mark up this zone right here between 636.63 to 638.51. That's going to be a key level. That's a line in the sand, actually. That's a LITS, an LITS. That's a make or break. If we break it, hold it, then yeah, we have room back up to 650 on meta. If we can't get above that zone today and regain it, then I think we see a little bit more downside. And realistically, you know, 620 looks to be a pretty realistic area. Just right up against these lows right there. Take that zone out to the right. We get quite a few little points, little rejection, get back above it, hold it. Nice impulsive move to the upside off that level. So, all right, cool. And meta's already hitting that zone in pre-market. Look at that. The daily zone I just gave you at 636.63 to 638.51. We're already smacking that level here in pre-market as resistance. So that's going to be a very key level for today, guys. All right, so if we open on up, push back up into that zone, and we fail to break it, I would get short down to 622 on meta. If we break that zone and hold it as support, I would get long back to 650 on meta. So meta, it really comes down to what do we see price do off this 636.63 to 638.51 zone. All right, what do we see price do? If we open, push into it, can't break it, I'm getting short down to 621. We break it, we hold it as support, I would play meta long back up to all-time highs. How much leverage would I use? I don't use leverage. SoFi? Yeah, let's go look at SoFi. We can do that. Like SoFi's already come down to one of our lower zones here. But let's go ahead and reset SoFi. Let's reset. It's a pretty solid zone between 1512 and 1525 on SoFi. Working our way up, working our way up. Here's going to be a nice little zone on SoFi right there. What's that on? That's between 1660 to 1668. Nah, that's too small. We can get a couple more of those little points in there. Yeah, 1646 to 1661. That's a nice zone. And we have that little zone down here between 1512 and 1525. And then you're looking somewhere down here between 1412 to 1431. Yeah, those are three like pretty solid zones. Where's SoFi at? SoFi's already come down to that 1512 to 1525 zone. We're already bouncing off of it. Next key level to the upside is 1646 to 1661. And if we break that level today, we could see SoFi move up into this zone here between 1718 to 1727. So, okay. So these are your main zones on SoFi. You got that 1512 to 1525 zone, already bouncing off that level here in pre-market. Next zone of resistance to the upside is 1646 to 1661. And then your top zone of resistance today is 1718 to 1727. And so it just comes down to what is price doing off of these zones. So if we push on up into that 1650 zone and we top out, and we fail to get above it, I would short it back down to that $15 zone on SoFi. But if we come up through that 1650 zone, regain it and hold it as support, I would get long up to that 1720 zone until you have to get out and take profit. If we come back down to this $15 zone and hold it as support again, I would play it long to that 1650. But if we come down into that $15 zone and we fall below it, stay below it, then I would get short down into that 1410 zone on SoFi. Because we do have a lower zone down there between like 1410 and 1430. So, I mean, really what you got to do is just mark these zones up, wait for SoFi to open, wait and see what zone it gets to first, read price action correctly, and price action is going to tell you what side of the trade to get on. We come up to resistance, we got price action that says more sellers than buyers, and we can't break it. You get short down to your next zone. But if you come up to the zone and you break it with force, you clearly see buyers are in control. Wait for the retest, and then play it long into your next zone to the upside. And then just simply trade it from key zone to key zone. CJ9949. What's up, brother? I'm a big fan of yours. I'm a big fan of yours too, man. I am never going to tell you what to buy. Never going to tell you what to buy. Never going to tell you what to invest in. I'm going to show you my process to trading. I'm going to teach you guys my process to trading so you guys know what to do in the market when we're trading. Yo, what's up? Good morning. If you have any questions about NVIDIA, like, hey, Josh, where are some key levels on NVIDIA? I'm more than happy to break it down for sure. But saying, hey, should I buy here? I'm never going to advise that you buy anything. Never. I will educate you on how to find great levels, right? Simple ways to get started with investing, how to start day trading, but I'm going to teach you how to do this and show you my step-by-step process on how I do it. Tim, what's up, brother? Yo, let's get those likes up too, guys. Let's get those likes up. NVIDIA. Yeah, let's go look at NVIDIA, bro. Let's do it. But we got 3,000 likes and we've been live for 30 minutes. Come on. Y'all can do better than that. All right, NVIDIA daily time frame. Let's see what we have. First area that really stands out to me is right hither. Right hither. There's a very, very nice key level here on NVIDIA between 129.50 to 130.70. 129.50 to 130.70. Very, very strong level. You see how we got back below it here, retest it with a lower high, drop, come up here for like 2 weeks, back to back, can't break that level, big drop. We get above it, finally hold it as support, big push in the all-time highs. Come back down into it, hold it as support, big push in the all-time highs. That's a very strong level on NVIDIA. All right, and so again, that level is between 129.50 to 130.70. But let's keep finding those key zones and key levels, guys. So I like this zone down here. That's going to be between... I mean, we could probably run it up into this level here. So you got like a 124 to 124.70 zone. Like 124 to 124.70. That looks pretty solid. We already talked about that zone to the upside. There is a daily gap here on NVIDIA that we could maybe come into it and fill it. You guys see that big daily gap here on NVIDIA? Gaps like to get filled. And when gaps fill, we typically get like gap fill bounces. There's a gap down here between 119.40 to 120.32. Let's go find one more zone to the upside. Go find one more zone to the upside. Probably going to be right in this region here. And that's going to be between like 133.90 to 134.70. The 133.90 to 134.70 on NVIDIA. And where are we at? We are down at that 123.90, the 124.75 zone. We fell below it, snapped back above it pretty much instantaneously. Held it with a higher low, and we're starting to kind of push a little bit. So that's going to be your first main level of support for today, is this 123.90 to 124.75 level. Below it, we have that 120 gap, that daily gap around 120. That would be the next area to the downside that we can get short into, potentially. And then we have that 130 zone, but let's make sure that's the zone. We need to tighten it up. Let's tighten it up a little bit. I think we can tighten that zone up a smidge. Yeah, we're going to tighten that zone up a little bit, just so it's a little bit more valid. The tighter the zones, the better. And that puts us at like 129.55 to 130.10. Now we're going to readjust that one zone. And that zone adjustment's going to put you at 129.55 to 130.10. That's a Litz line in the sand. That's a make or break for today, the way I see it. So with that being said, you got really a couple options. Option number one, if we open, come down to this 124 zone, hold it as support, I would get long to 130. That's your next zone. If we open, fall below that 124 zone, stay below that 124 zone, I would get short down into that daily gap at 120. If we push on up into that 130 zone, that's your line in the sand. And if we can't break through it, I would get short down to that 124 zone. And if NVIDIA breaks through that 130 zone with some force and we see clearly buyers are in control, I would wait for a 130 retest, make sure we're going to hold above it as support today. And if so, then play it long into that 134 zone there on NVIDIA. So NVIDIA looks good. Micron for the gap looks decent. Tesla, it's okay. I like Meta a lot, actually. I think Meta looks really good today. Meta looks really good. So in this order of best of the best looking stocks and best of the best zones to day trade off of today, you got NVIDIA, number one, looks really good. Meta, number two. I like Meta a lot. And then potentially Micron into that daily gap down around $90 on Micron. Makes no sense. NVIDIA isn't dropping below 130 today. NVIDIA's at 126, bud. So C4bin, NVIDIA right now is at 126.30, so it's below 130. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, pre-market, you're at 126.30 right now. Josh, I can't trade today. Gonna send you my broker creds. Get after it. 50-50, brother. 50-50, man. Let's go. That's funny, man. I didn't like where AMD was at. And one thing I will tell you is I've analyzed AMD for the past few weeks. We've seen some decent trades on AMD the past couple of weeks. And out of the 4 or 5 trade potentials that I've seen, only one's played out. So AMD is very choppy. AMD is just not really honoring the technicals at this point in time. And I've just noticed that over the past 5 good-looking trades that we've looked at. And one of the 5 have really played out and actually followed through. So with that being said, I'm just not really a fan of getting involved with AMD right now because it's just not moving the way I would want to see it move consistently. So Yeah, brother. Got you, man. I'll take that bet. I'll take that bet. Are you guys in the free community, by the way? We're getting ready to close down that free community. So who is currently not in our free community? Getting some support from me, other traders, other coaches. We got tons of free education in the free trading community as well. If you guys aren't in there, I would highly recommend getting in before we shut that down here in the next week or so. And the other thing too is I do top-down analysis. That's like one of my main steps for trading is starting on the daily, finding these key zones. And these are the key levels and key zones that I want to day trade off of. These are even the key zones and key levels that I would swing trade off of as well. So if you guys are having a hard time finding these zones and finding these levels, and you feel like the areas that you're trading off of are pretty random, and you want to increase the odds and start to be on like more winning trades, I'm still giving away a free training on my step-by-step process on how I find my zones. So if you guys want that lesson, you guys can hit me up with a DM and say, yo, give me the lesson. I want to be able to find these key zones. It'll be an absolute freaking game changer for you. But if you want more lessons and just more than that, how to read price action, how to use fibs, anything that you can think of that's going to really help you guys dial in your skills to be like a good trader, I would recommend joining the free community when you guys have time. Josh, you are an awesome teacher. I appreciate that. That means a lot. Let's get those likes up over on YouTube as well. NVIDIA, I mean, I'm going to look to do one of two things today. Number one, since the options will be very juicy, I'm going to sell some cash secured puts today on NVIDIA. I will be an option seller. And if it comes down and I get assigned, wonderful. If we bounce on back up, which I do expect we could see a nice bounce this week, at least those options on the put side will get destroyed. And so that's what I want if I'm an option seller. Right? So I want to go ahead and sell puts for the premium, receive a credit to my account, and then the goal is to let those puts expire worthless on, say, Friday, and then I get to collect the premium as profit. So I'm going to sell some puts today on NVIDIA because I believe, again, this is a very overextended move to the downside, right? The IV is going to be high, which will inflate the premiums. The VIX is at a 21. That's also going to inflate those premiums. If we get a bounce and a snap back on up this week and a slow grind, it's going to absolutely crush the premiums of those puts. Plus, Theta is working with me, being an option seller, right? Time Decay is working with me on that. So I'm going to sell some cash secured puts today on NVIDIA, and then I'll look to day trade NVIDIA today as well. And I have a couple game plans that I just gave you guys on NVIDIA. So I'll day trade calls and puts today as well, 100%. But I'm definitely going to sell some cash secured puts today. What's my YouTube channel? The Real Josh Howerton. So the same handle on TikTok is the same handle on the tube. Same handle over on pretty much every social. Todd says the zoning lesson sure is helping me. It's helped a lot of people out. I mean, Austin joined the free community like, I don't know, a month ago. He took that lesson. He goes, dude, lesson, game changer, starting to be more confident in trading off these key levels. He's finding that the key levels are respected more times than not. And this is like a foundational piece to trading, is being able to find where do you want to get in the market? Where do you want to be getting in? Where do you want to be getting out? So you can dial in entries. You can have some of the best trades with the least amount of risk and the highest amount of reward, right? Finding those optimal areas where you want to be looking to get involved in the market, whether that's swing trading, whether that's day trading, if you're trading Forex, options, stocks, it doesn't matter. Finding those key significant levels that you want to be taking advantage of and getting in. So I give you guys that training for free because it's really going to help you guys out. You can send me a DM. I'll send you guys a link to that. And if you guys want to join the free community and get some support as well, make sure you guys go click the link in my bio on TikTok and just join the free community. Why? It's free. And I'll show you guys real quick. So I got to use the restroom. That coffee is absolutely running through me. So give me like 2 seconds, I'll be back. But literally, just leave the live stream. Go click the Linktree link in my bio. And where it says join my free community, click that button. Scroll down and then go ahead and click where it says join free community. And that's going to get you guys tapped in to the free community. You get like 10 different trainings. One of those 10 trainings is top-down analysis, finding those key zones, the same zones that I give you every morning. It's the same process of me finding those zones. You'll learn how to do it. And then again, you get tapped in with every other trader we have. So if you have questions, we'll answer those for you. If you need support, we'll support you. It's pretty simple. And then make sure you guys go follow me on my other socials as well. I'll be right back. Oh, you guys getting the likes up. Appreciate ya. It means a lot. Do I got to go warm up my coffee? Is this microwave safe? I don't think this is microwave safe. Do not microwave, so I guess it's cold coffee today. You want to join as a guest? Not now. All right, what time is it? It's 8:55. I got time for one more question. One more question. Help you guys out. Probably at 120 on NVIDIA. I'll look at like a Friday expiration. I may even go longer dated ones too. I'll go shop, Fridays, 14 days, 30 days, and kind of see where those premiums are at. I'll probably be looking around like the 120 level. I might even go with like some 125s. I don't know. I'm gonna go shop them. But I think, to start 120s is a great place, because here's the thing. I would want to own more NVIDIA at 120. I would be okay with owning NVIDIA at 120 a share. I'm okay with that. 125? Not ideally. 120? 100%. If we start falling below those levels, I may go pick up even more down around like 105 or 100. So it depends. Do I want to go this Friday? It really depends on what those premiums look like, comparing them to a 14, 30-day out. Obviously, the further out you go, the more expensive they'll be. But even on 30 days out, if we get a big snapback and a big rebound this week, I mean, I could probably still get about 70 to 80% out of that premium, even going a 30-day out, just because how overextended to the downside we are. With the inflated, IV on the options, with the VIX at a 2021, even going 30 days out, getting a nice bounce back up into the 130s, I could probably still get 70 to 80% out of those premiums. So, you need a straw for your coffee? That's funny. All right, guys. Well, stay blessed. All right, stay blessed. Trade smart and trade safe as always. If you guys have not joined the free community, I would recommend doing so before we shut down enrollment for the free community. It's like, why would I join? Well, if you want to be a better trader, you get a lot of support, tons of free training. If you guys have questions, I take time out of my day to help you guys directly and just support you and guide you down the right path to be a good trader. And it's free. So there's like no obligation to come in. So make sure you do that. Go follow me on my other socials as well. Definitely YouTube. Because if TikTok ever does get banned, which it's probably not, we do put together these live streams over on YouTube as well, 3 days a week. And you could see things a lot better on YouTube versus TikTok. So go subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's a lot of education over on YouTube as well. So there's a lot of trainings, all of these recaps that I put together. They're uploaded, recorded, uploaded. So you can go back and rewatch them. There's a lot of education just in these sessions that I put together as well. It's a great place to start if you want to learn how to be a really good trader. So, and it's all free. Tons of good stuff. But stay blessed, guys. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Trade smart, trade safe, as always. And I will catch you guys back here Wednesday morning, 8 o'clock on the talk and over on YouTube as well. Peace out, guys. Have a good one. And I will see you Wednesday, guys. Peace out.